So welcome to another summarized sermon. This week we're looking at two books, Jeremiah and also Lamentations. You can see on the screen, the top left-hand corner, we have a jury, and then we have someone holding a piece of really, really stinky material that he's just pulled out of the mire. So that must be Jeremiah. That's one of the main messages of Jeremiah. God told the prophet Jeremiah to go and take a piece of material, depending on which translation of the Bible you're using. Probably it was a pair of his underpants, a pair of dirty underpants. Go and put it in the sand by the Euphrates River, leave it there until it's really, really rotten. And then when you take it out and the people ask you, why does that thing smell so much? Say to them, this is how much you smell in the nostrils of God. And so Jeremiah, that was his main message. You can understand people didn't like him too much. The next book that we have is the book of Lamentations, a very short little book written by Jeremiah. Actually, it's 5 songs that were to be sung at a funeral, and the funeral was that of the nation of Judah, because the Babylonians were going to come and take them off into captivity. And so Jeremiah told them, this is going to happen, and so here you go, guys, I'm writing your funeral songs for you. So with that kind of a message, you stink and you're as good as dead, you can imagine that Jeremiah was not a very popular guy. He got thrown in jail more often than he would like to admit. And in actual fact, for the entire 40 years of his preaching, not one person actually listened to him or accepted what he said. It was only way, way later, a guy by the name of Daniel. We'll talk about him much, much later. But Daniel got hold of Jeremiah's writings, and they inspired him. But what I want to have a look at today is, what is the secret to having your prayers answered? And we're going to find the secret in just one verse from Jeremiah chapter 33 and verse 3. Before looking into the Bible, so don't open your Bible right now, but let me introduce you to this guy. He was a skipper of a trawling ship, a fishing ship, and his name was Andrew Leeper, and in 2012, he discovered a bottle that contained a message in it. It was a message written by Captain C. Hunter Brown in the year 1914, and this bottle spent 97 years, 309 days at sea. And the message inside it was, please state where and when this card was found, ... Our object is to find out the direction of the deep currents of the North Sea. And just to show you how useful this particular message in a bottle was, Andrew Leeper found the bottle no more than 9.38 nautical miles away from where Captain Hunter Brown tossed it into the sea. As far as he was concerned, didn't travel too far. Bit of a useless message. Here's another one. Very, very useful or useless message, depending on how you view it. Found by kite surfers in the year 2013, written by a guy who answered to the name of Jonathan in 1985. And the message said this: Mary, you are a really great person. I hope we can keep in correspondence. I said I would write, your friend always, Jonathan. Whoosh, and he tosses the bottle into the sea. Now, either he was not very in love with her, or I don't know what it was, but if it was intended to be a love letter, I think it was a pretty useless one. Here was another one, written by a mother whose son had just recently, very tragically, passed away. And it only spent a couple of weeks at sea, written by a French mother, we don't know her name, but found by Karen with a surname I can't pronounce. And the message said this: please forgive me for being so angry at your disappearance. I still think there's some mistake, and I keep waiting for God to fix it. Forgive me for not knowing how to protect you from death. Forgive me for not having the right words at that terrible moment when you slipped through my fingers. Now, as tragic as that is, that event is, I find it even more tragic and more sad that this woman would have no one to actually open her heart to. The best she could do was to write a note and put it in a bottle and toss it in the sea. And even the fact that the bottle was shaped like a tear, it still doesn't actually help much. What if this mom had a relationship with the creator of the universe, and she was able to bring her sorrows and her confusion to God through prayer. You see, prayer is way, way, way more than a message in a bottle. It's way more than writing a note and tossing it up into the heaven or tossing it into the sea and hoping that someone is going to answer it. No. Prayer comes from our heart to God's heart direct, and He hears every single prayer. That's what we read in Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 3. Call to me and I will answer you. I will tell you great and hidden things that you have not known. Now, we're asking the question, what is the secret to having your prayers answered? Is the secret knowing who to pray to? Perhaps it is. You know, we're praying to the creator of the universe. In Jeremiah 33, verse 3, God says, call to me and I will answer you. In the chapter before, chapter 32, Jeremiah says, O sovereign Lord, you are the one who made the heavens and the earth by your strong hand and your powerful arm. Nothing is too hard for you. You see, Jeremiah knew who he was praying to. You see, we're not praying to a statue of a God. We're not praying to a God whose bones are still in their tomb somewhere. We are praying to the almighty creator of the universe, the one who is all-powerful and able to meet whatever need we may have. And perhaps that, just in itself, is the secret to having your prayers answered, knowing who to pray your prayers to. Perhaps the secret to answered prayer is knowing what to pray. That would be quite useful. I mean, we're just reading here in Jeremiah, it says, call to me. Well, what does that mean? How do I call to you? Well, again, here's the benefit of knowing more of the Bible, not just taking a verse out of context. You see, there's another passage in the scripture, it's in 1 Chronicles, where we read an account, or it's actually a poem written by a guy by the name of Asaph, when he was singing songs, worshiping God, singing worship songs in David's courts. And he explains what it means to call on God. He says, oh, give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people, sing to him, sing praises to him, tell of all his wondrous works, glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his presence continually. Remember the wondrous works that he has done, his miracles, and the judgments that he has uttered. So, right up in verse 8, it says, give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name. And then he goes on to explain how you can call upon the name of God. By telling of his wondrous works, by remembering the great things he has done. See, that's a great way to start off in terms of how do we call on God's name. It's a great thing to be able to sit back and to, like Jeremiah did, God, you created the heavens and the earth. You really are powerful. And so I can come with whatever problem I have, I can bring that to you because you are the great and mighty God. But perhaps the secret to answered prayer is actually admitting that we have a need. You see, from the Message version of the same verse, it says, call to me and I will answer you. I will tell you marvelous things that you could never figure out on your own. You see, one of the weird things is that we don't know what we don't know. But yet somehow when it comes to prayer, we seem to think that we know what we don't know. And so instead of coming to God, who is all-knowing, therefore there is nothing that God cannot know, we come and we try to say, God, this is how you must fix my problem. But perhaps the secret to having our prayers answered is to acknowledge, God, I don't know quite what to do here, and so I need you to do what you do best. You are God, and I am not. Perhaps the secret to having our prayers answered is actually just to pray. You know, God says, call to me and I will answer. It doesn't say if you don't call to me, I will still answer. It says when you pray, I will answer. Maybe the fact that we just need to pray will ensure that our prayers get answered. Look at all these occasions through Scripture. I mean, we don't have time to go through them all, but it just says, call on me in the day of trouble, I will deliver you. You will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to me. You will seek me, and you will find me when you seek me. You hear, O Lord, the desire of the afflicted. And so it goes on. Call upon me, I will answer you. Call upon me, I will answer you. God promises to call or to answer whenever we call upon his name. But as I close off, I want to make this statement. Notice it's no longer a question, because I believe the secret to answered prayer is actually knowing that God's the one who cares. God cares. And here we go all the way back to our message in a bottle, in a way. Psalm 56 verse 8 says this: you have kept count of my tossings. You know when you toss and turn in bed at night? You have never done that, I know. But some of us get really worried and anxious, and we toss and turn all night long. The psalmist says, you've kept count of my tossings, and you've put my tears in your bottle. You see, God does have a bottle. It's not shaped like a tear, and he's not going to toss it in the ocean, but it's a bottle of tears, of your tears, of my tears, and every one of those is a prayer. God cares so much that he keeps our tears, he hears our prayers, and he will answer you. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear, all because we do not carry everything to God in prayer.